Hello everyone and welcome to Joe's Shop. Today we're going to have a look at the Milwaukee Belt File stand. Something you guys can whip up real quick and easy out of scraps, and check out how easy this is to do toolless. Watch this. We're all ready. And these are the tabs under the table the clips lock to. And these here are anti-rotation blocks, so when you take the top off, these ears don't fall down the other way, right? Or get out of alignment, so you can always put the top on. It always remains flush because of these. So if you go to make one of these, make sure that these are fairly tight to the bottom of here. Very little slop, maybe the thickness of a piece of thin tape in between. And you got it. Then I just glued these pins in with CA, super glue. Here you see dead center of the screen a little mark, a little tick mark that I made with a pencil. And I align it to this so that when I put the unit into the stand, it's at about 90 degrees, a right angle. As a side note, these parts right here that I just use simple pieces of 2x4 that have some radiuses on them. And you put this unit in here so that it's sitting fairly snug on top of your little rubber bunks. I had this was a real thin piece of rubber on top of a little block here. Also one here, I just covered them in tape so that it doesn't make a black mark on the tool. All right, and that's the first thing I did, is set the tool in there and get it squared up so it's sitting nice on those 3 points. Everything will always sit flat on 3 points. Don't use 4. And then you'll notice after you're done with that, you just put these blocks in with the Velcro on them and make sure that it fits snug. That tool can't move around at all while these are contained in here. Then once you lock everything down with this on the back, you're so set. Something that I found while I was making this is that dual tensions are kind of needed. I use one tension on this block to hold these together, and there's a slightly different tension here. This is much easier to do. This one's harder. So while it's being used, it just wants to tip this forward while you're tightening this, versus the whole thing moving around. This is only for installation and removal. And once it's straight up and down, you know you're ready to go. When it's this way, it's cocked and ready to put in your tool. And I also noticed that if I fastened the screws to the block that held everything down right where it's pinned, this thing is very robust, incredibly strong. You guys can obviously do whatever you want. You'll probably have a better idea than I ever dreamed of having in here. But you need this fairly robust. Just, I thought I'd mention it for you. One other thing is this is into UHMW, ultra high molecular weight plastic. You just need a wear surface. The screw itself has been polished and blunted, rounded, so it works pretty good. it should never wear that out in a whole lifetime. It's just something to think about. And here is a shot of how the top locks. You can see it's engaged in this picture. Now it's disengaged. So these pins just simply have an O-ring on them. And there's a little chamfer in front, and that's how you're hearing them click in and click out. Next, you'll take a 90-degree, anything you have. I made a small little square so I don't wreck my stare-at stuff against a sandpaper surface. But you can see that's out of square. It's not perfect right in here. And because that's not perfect, you have to reach down below, and there's that adjustment right here that you can see in here. That gets swung open, and you just adjust the head that little bit and relock it down. You can do it all while it's in place there, and then you're ready to go. You're only off less than a degree right here. That's about a half a degree off. So if your accuracy matters, you're going to tighten that up, and you move on, and you have a nice sander ready to go. This is spring loaded. It's a pretty good spring in there. When you pick up on this, you have about 5 pounds of force, maybe 4 pounds of force pulling down on this, and that's adjustable with that nut on top. And all you have to do is just turn it sideways, and it automatically loads the unit perfectly that it stays square in the sander base. Works really good. It's worthy to note that the service door to put a band file on needs to be open at all times for 2 reasons. One, so that your vacuum can run at all times and you don't build up all the slop in here and maybe get some of it over there into the bottom of the motor. You don't want that. So always run your vacuum while you're using this. And 2, when it's open like this, now you can put a new band file on without taking it out of the unit. So twofold, it works really good for you. A word of caution, while you're using the vacuum and the service door is open, give your little thing here a snug down so that it doesn't vibrate open and end up in the vacuum cleaner. If that's possible, I don't even know, but it's worth mentioning. Something else that you might want to know about, when you have your bar, or when you have the adjustment open here, what I do is from the inside, I'm holding up against this, and I'm holding up against the other screw with my thumb and finger, and I push this unit in real hard while I lock this down with the other hand. And that keeps everything squared up. Sometimes you'll notice that you'll tension everything up and you'll put on the top, and it's not tracking perfectly. That's because this is not held tightly to the unit before this lock has been put down. And it's a little bit cocked when it locked. One other thing I didn't mention is defeating the safety switch that's here. Either you're going to put a piece of tape over that or defeat it in one way or another, otherwise this system doesn't work. Or perhaps when you put yours in, this holds this in this position so it's always ready and it pushes here. I just had to defeat it because I couldn't take it anymore. And here's a shot of the bottom. It's not a pretty sight, but it's just that, the bottom. So you'll need some feet on it too so this thing doesn't scoot around on a smooth table, and you'll be good to go. All heads of screws and whatnot are countersunk, so everything's flush on the bottom. And that's that. Really effortless, just completely effortless. Put nice radiuses on anything. up some glue. Pretty amazing, really. You get a pretty good edge. Okay, and if you have a look here, you can see with a machinist square that that's actually square. This isn't just you know, all cobbled together. It actually is sanded really nice. Now you see I didn't finish all the way. I could have done a little better here, but I'm just giving you an idea of the kind of stuff you can do with this sander. It works really well. If you just don't force it and you just let the sander do the work, it's amazing what this thing will do for you guys.